So there is one player that is going to return after week number 8. All the talent in the world. With that, all the baggage in the world. And there's already one team, one Super Bowl contender, flat out, one of the best teams in the NFL right now, that is making a real push to sign him. That's Antonio Brown, who can return after week 8. And now Adam Schefter yesterday was reporting that the Seattle Seahawks are making a real push to sign Brown, who obviously is eligible, again, after week 8 concludes next week, to join them, start practicing, and then be eligible to play in the games. Now, Schefter mentioned there are other teams in the mix. But right now, it seems like the Seahawks are the ones that are chasing Antonio Brown the most, that are the most motivated to sign the former star and current diva wide receiver. So the question's easy, to me at least, and I'd love to get your thoughts. Again, Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, WWSR_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show on radio, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter. Tweet me your thoughts right on Facebook, your thoughts. I'd love to hear them because talent-wise, the answer is yes. Distraction-wise, off the field-wise, everything else-wise, the answer is no to me, and that is should the Seattle Seahawks sign Antonio Brown. So they bring him in to make him a part of their roster because on paper, again, talent-wise, that would put, to me, Seattle over the top. By far, they'd be better than any other team in the NFC. I like the way the Buccaneers are trending. Again, by the season end, I think the Buccaneers will be one of the best teams in the NFC. I think at the end of the day, they'll be the biggest ones to push the Seahawks. But to me, the Seahawks, really the Packers, the Buccaneers, and the 3 teams so far that are kind of separating themselves from the rest of the pack in terms of being legitimate contenders to go to the Super Bowl from the NFC. I think this by far and away, if you sign Antonio Brown, talent-wise, skill-wise, would put Seattle over the top. But you have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf already there, already with an elite passing offense for Russell Wilson. Now you add another weapon, another headache for the defense to worry about. There's too much skill, not enough bodies to cover all those guys. But with that said, with talent-wise, the answer being yes, I am absolutely advising the Seahawks, don't do it. Don't sign Antonio Brown. Don't fall for the shiny object. Don't do anything to derail all the momentum that you have right now, because to me, that's what would happen if you sign Antonio Brown. I think it would be one of the biggest mistakes. I think it would honestly derail the Seahawks and really hurt their Super Bowl chances more than help. The upside, to me, does not outweigh the downside. And let's start with the downside. Because really, there's more negative talk about than positive. He is a walking distraction. That a team like the Seahawks, a team that's undefeated, a legitimate bona fide Super Bowl contender with an MVP right now, the MVP through 6 weeks, is Russell Wilson on their team. They don't need him. They don't need that distraction. Because let's just go back here. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane. We're not going to go too far back either. Let's go back to 2018, 2 years ago. He was a member of the Steelers. First of all, boy, does that feel like 2 years ago does not feel like Antonio Brown's on the Steelers. That feels like ages ago, millenniums ago. But let's not forget, the last time that Antonio Brown was on a contender, the last time his team was in a playoff push, week 17, they're playing the Bengals. Now, the Steelers need some help. But if the Ravens lose and the Steelers win in week 17, the Steelers are in the playoffs. So it is a playoff game for Pittsburgh. You have to win. There's no option when the Steelers lose to make the playoffs. So it's a must win. Week 17, the biggest game of the season so far. There's a fight in practice. He's upset about the way Big Ben is getting handled. Maybe Big Ben is not getting enough of the blame from the coaching staff, from the general manager, from the rest of the team. Antonio Brown leaves practice week 17 in a must-win game to keep your playoff hopes alive. Shows up to the game. Mike Tomlin says, you weren't at practice. You weren't at the meetings. We didn't even know where you were. You're inactive. You're not playing. He quit on his team. Week 17, must-win game, essentially a playoff game, because you got to win it. There's no other option. If you don't win, you're going home. He didn't show up. He quit on his team. Okay, that was 2018. You live and you learn, right? You get more mature with age. Maybe that was just for the first time he acted out. He learned from his mistake. He recognized, wow, I really did hurt the team. Can't do that again. Let's fast forward 8 months. Let's go from December to August. December 2018 to August of 2019. 9 months, if you want to get real specific. We watched it play out right in front of us on Hard Knocks. Remember when he was a part of the Raiders? He got what he wanted in Pittsburgh. He asked for a trade. He didn't want to be part of the Steelers organization anymore. He got a trade to Oakland. He's on the Raiders. Happy to be on the Raiders. Happy to get away from that dumpster fire in his mind that was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And remember what happened as we watched on Hard Knocks week in and week out. Antonio Brown's not there to start the training camp. Why is that? He burned his feet in a cryotherapy chamber. Apparently wasn't wearing the right socks. Again, that's burns his feet. So that's the first thing. His feet are crusty. You're figuring out, okay, how can we get him back on the field? That's a whole issue. Then when the feet are okay, all right, the burns are good. I guess the blisters are wearing off. He's now able to run. His feet are working. He's able to run routes. He's able to be at practice. Remember then, it goes from the feet. What happens next? The helmet. The NFL outlawed his helmet. The NFL is trying to get out all of the old helmets, right? Trying to enforce safety by doing so with player safety. They have these regulations about helmets. Antonio Brown's helmet was ruled to be not safe. It was too old, and they forced him to change helmets. Well, that was biggest deal in the world, right? Remember Antonio Brown taking his old Steelers helmet, painting it silver, trying to put the Raiders logo on and trying to pass it as a new helmet because he loved it so much. He couldn't play without his old helmet. So finally, after weeks of drama, after weeks of illegally practicing in an old helmet he wasn't allowed to use, he finally settles on a new helmet. So the feet, they start off burning, can't practice, they finally get healthy. Then it goes to the helmet. Very upset that he can't use his old helmet. For whatever reason, he can't play if he doesn't have his old helmet. Finally sucks it up, gets a new helmet. All right, now we're ready to play football, right? We're still in training camp, mind you. We're not even in week 1 yet. This is not playing out the duration of a year. This is playing out in the duration of 2 to 3 weeks. And then what happens? Once the feet are settled, once the helmet is settled, he figures, you know what? I don't really like Oakland. I want to get out of here. Before playing one game with the Raiders. And this is after the Raiders traded for him. They gave up draft picks. They gave Antonio Brown what he wanted. He still didn't like it. Wanted to get out and force his way out of Oakland before playing one game. Didn't play one down. Didn't play one snap. Forced his way out. So he quit on the Steelers in Week 17. Again, essentially a playoff game where they needed to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. He quit. Left practice, didn't show up to any meetings, didn't go to practice, was inactive for Week 17. 9 months later, he has feet issues, he has helmet issues. All of a sudden, then he decides, wakes up one morning, I don't want to be a part of Oakland anymore. I want to go somewhere else. I want to play with Tom Brady. I want to be with the Patriots. I just don't want to be, I don't want to be anywhere but here. So he wants to get out of Pittsburgh, he got out of Pittsburgh. Happy that he's in Oakland. All of a sudden, he wakes up one day, I don't want to be in Oakland anymore. I'm out of here. And the Raiders, again, after trading draft capital for him just a few months ago, don't even see Antonio Brown in their uniform for one snap. So he, in 2 consecutive years, quit on his team in one way or another. Why wouldn't he do it again? Why do we assume that all of a sudden now he's going to go to Seattle and be a good teammate? Be a good soldier. Fall in line. Listen to Russell Wilson. Listen to Pete Carroll. He didn't do it in Pittsburgh. He didn't do it in Oakland. Let's not forget, too, he was with the Patriots. He played a game, but even the Patriots couldn't deal with him. They cut him. So you have model organizations with the Steelers. Right? Mike Tomlin has been there since 2007. They have stable ownership with the Rooney family. They have stable front office. They have a stable head coach. Everything that was in place. It's not a dumpster fire. It's not a poorly run organization. It's one of the most successful and consistent organizations in all of football. He didn't like it there. The Raiders are another storied franchise. I like the direction that John Gruden and Mike Mayock are going in. But we won't put them in the same categories as Steelers. And the Patriots, the same thing. They're in that Steelers category. Great ownership with Robert Kraft. Head coach, I mentioned, Bill Belichick, who, again, has been there for 2 decades, who knows what he's doing, is well respected. These two, if the Steelers organization and the Patriots organization, two of the most well-run, consistent organizations in all the NFL, couldn't handle Antonio Brown. What makes you think the Steelers are going to be able, what makes you think, the Seahawks are going to be able to handle Antonio Brown? Show me, please, one thing the Seahawks have that the Patriots don't, that the Steelers don't, that he would fit in with the Seahawks, but not he couldn't fit in with the Steelers, he couldn't fit in with the Patriots. Because there's nothing I look at and say, you know what, that would be a good fit. That would be a good idea because Antonio Brown would actually fall in line. Antonio Brown is about one thing himself. So whether it's not getting maybe the media coverage that he wants, maybe it's not getting the ball enough, maybe it's not like the play calling or his role. I don't trust Antonio Brown to go to Seattle, midway through the year, mind you. Again, this is not coming in the offseason. We can work in chemistry. We can work with Russell Wilson on the timing. We can get used to playing with DK Metcalf, used to playing with Tyler Lockett, learning the intricacies of the Seattle offense, and be comfortable by the time week 1 comes around, and by the time the playoff come around, after week 16 and week 17, that you'll be able to be at your best. This is a guy who's going to come in after week 8. The Seahawks are undefeated, have one of the best offenses of all football. Again, Russell Wilson, if the season ended today, is the MVP. By far and away the best player in the NFL this year. What makes you think Antonio Brown's going to come in and keep this team going forward? Elevate this team even more than they are right now. Because like I said, talent-wise, he's one of the best wide receivers in all of the NFL. He's unguardable. He's tough to tackle. He has great hands. He's great with the deep ball. There's not many flaws. He's a great route runner. There's not many flaws in the game, in the talent-wise in the game of Antonio Brown. To me, again, it would make the Seahawks far and away the favorites in the NFC. It put them right up there with with the Chiefs, for overall Super Bowl favorites. Maybe you'd even give the Seahawks a nod with the way Russell Wilson is playing so far. But I don't trust him to be a good teammate, a good soldier for 3 months. I don't think bringing in such a divisive personality would be the best thing for the Seahawks, which, again, they have gone through this for 8 weeks. Think about it so far. Think how good that they have been playing so far through this stretch. I don't think Antonio Brown is the answer right now. Really ever, for any team, but not right now. When this team is rolling the way they are, where they have so much momentum going forward, the last thing they need is to be a distraction. The last thing that they need is to bring something that will slow down the train, derail the train, if you want to say. Because Antonio Brown has not proven, really ever, that he cannot be a distraction. So why bring that angst to the team? Why bring in that guy that has a great chance to really throw off everything you're doing? I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's a smart investment for the Seahawks. Because let's not also forget, the Seahawks aren't a team that's desperate for wide receiver help. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, both on track to have 1,000-yard seasons. DK Metcalf is emerging as one of the best wide receivers in all the NFL. He's getting comparisons already in year number 2 to looking to have the skill set of Terrell Owens. But as we've seen so far, again, through a year and a half, he doesn't have the same distraction, that same personality that Terrell Owens that derailed his career. So you have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, 2 great receivers so far, lighting it up, giving Russell Wilson all sorts of options. Seahawks have scored the most touchdowns in all the NFL. They have 23 touchdowns so far through the 5 games that they played. They're not desperate for wide receiver help. I mean, if anything, if they're going to add a player, it should be in the defensive end. Get a pass rusher. Get someone in the secondary. Really, that's when they've been torched. That's when they've been getting hurt. That's when they need help and reinforcements on the defensive side of the ball. There's no questions about the offense. Questions about the defense. Just to me, I look at the possibility of the Seahawks signing Antonio Brown. There's rumors like this before because you had Russell Wilson working out with Antonio Brown in the offseason. Right? There's that video over the summer of Russell Wilson throwing routes to Antonio Brown. Apparently they're friends. I think Geno Smith, the backup in Seattle, is also friends with Antonio Brown. So there's some connections there. But I don't think this is a good move for Seattle. I really don't. With the way they're rolling right now, with the way they're playing, I don't think the risk of bringing in a player as toxic as Antonio Brown is worth the reward that his skill set brings. This guy who has quit on the last 2 teams he's played on. He quit on the Steelers in Week 17 back in 2018. He quit on the Raiders before he even got a snap, even played a down with the Raiders. They got rid of him. If teams like the Patriots, if teams like the Steelers are cutting bait or saying, you know what, he has all the immense talent in the world, but the distraction is not worth it. We can get it done with less talented players because they are less of a distraction, less of a headache. We're going to do it.